Mobile Suit Gundam presents a futuristic tale that is disturbingly fitting for our own future as a human race. War is an inseparable part of mankind. Peace is and can only be temporary. Tomino teaches us that the most violent era in human history is yet to come. In his own words, he sees the ultimate fate of mankind as self-destruction. This series is the embodiment of those words. The amount of chaos and death within these 43 episodes is of such a grand scale it can feel overwhelming, as it only gets more and more intense the farther it goes. Also of important note, this is beyond just a battle between a so-called good side and a so-called bad side. War is indiscriminate of which side one is on, as the internal politics causes betrayal, revenge, change of loyalty, ambitions, and goals within one's own ranks. The story follows a young crew of inexperienced soldiers that had to struggle out of necessity to survive. Among them is Amuro, a young soldier who becomes the pilot of the Gundam, a new mobile suit of grand potential. However, it isn't as easy as it sounds, as Amuro has to deal with an ocean of conflicted feelings as he has found himself thrown into a war for the first time and is horrified of what he is seeing and what he has become. The most notable character of iconic design is Char Aznavour. He is a man with an unclear past. As part of the Zeon forces, he takes on the Federation. Oddly enough, he has his own agenda that ties into other unlikely characters. Part of the wonder of Gundam is the mystery behind this character and what he is really up to. Music-wise, the soundtrack sounds funky overall, and yet can do well to add tension and to elevate the battles. Sometimes an insert song can be added for good effect. I don't think the soundtrack is that impressive, though it has at least a few iconic songs. The animation is brutal and wonderful in how detailed it is in portraying death and destruction. Even by today's standards, it is impressive how it looks. The occasional production issue will result in slideshows and shots that look off at times, however. As humanity continues to help wipe itself out from existence, the viewers can't help but see the desperation in the characters of this series. Despite the hopelessness and pain they have to go through, they all do what they can to wield themselves by sheer force. Fleet after fleet battle, the crew of the White Base try their best to grow not just as soldiers, but as people, as well through all their internal conflicts. Watching this, it is clear from people who watch other similar works just how influential this series has been. For example, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Super Dimension Fortress Macross, and Legend of the Galactic Heroes show a lot of influence from this series. The only part that feels strange about this series, despite that its best part are the last episodes, there is a sort of supernatural element introduced that adds a lot of bizarreness and surrealism to the story. I think by the end I was able to get used to it and understand it a little better. Despite all this series is a masterpiece and yet another important historical document of the greatness the medium can achieve. Mobile Suit Gundam reminds us that humanity will never stop doing horrifying things to itself. In its brutal depiction, the world feels like it has ended. Despite that, sometimes it appears there is a glimmer of hope and peace that can be achieved. Tragically, and like stated before, peace is and can only be temporary. Thank you for listening.